Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about a couple of the teasers that came out the past couple of days. Now, it seems like Wizard101 has been teasing something new every single day, which I can only assume that's going to mean the summer test realm is coming up kind of soon. Also, just a little side note, there's a crown sale on the website right now in case any of you whales are interested in picking that up. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into the teasers. So the new teaser that came out roughly about 3 hours ago, it is this one right here with all of the Aquila side bosses, and the caption is, "The Immortals will soon be on your side." So, this obviously is related to challenge mode Mount Olympus. My theory behind this is we are going to have these Mount Olympus or Aquila characters be playable, kind of similar to the Liches and Legends Gauntlet we had in the spring update. And I think this would be really cool actually. You know, you could pick like Poseidon, you could be Hades, you know, Zeus and whatnot. And I don't know, I mean, we don't really know who they would fight or who the big bad people would be. I don't really know what else it could possibly be, saying that, you know, Zeus and everyone we fought is on our side now. Like, we should get to play as them. I kind of feel like that makes sense. But something I also noticed in the screenshot here is they did not include any of the side bosses. So that is going to be Cronus or whatever, and I think Cronus is the father to, you know, Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon, I think, in the lore. I could be wrong on that. And then we also have the squid guy down there in Atlantia, and then obviously the gladiator in Mount Olympus. So what I'm thinking here, since those guys are not included here, maybe we're gonna have to, you know, polymorph as one of these people and go take them down. I feel like that would be kind of cool, you know, like, so it'd be like 4 people, you know, say Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and I don't know, that random guy who drops the Skyr and Hasta, you know, those 4 against, you know, the Gladiator, Cronus, and the Squid. That being said, though, I feel like that doesn't really make any sense, though, because the dungeon is in Mount Olympus, and the whole Squid being in Mount Olympus wouldn't really make any sense unless what we're getting this update is going to be all of Aquila being challenge mode, which I guess would make sense. You know, it's a relatively small place, pretty easy for them to do, especially if they just don't make it the whole entire dungeon or whatnot. You know, with my theory, I think I'm kind of actually leaning more towards that as opposed to them just making the whole dungeon challenge mode, because think about it, right? A normal run of Mount Olympus or Poseidon or Hades takes quite a long time, you know? Granted, if you have a max level character, yeah, it's not as bad, but if you're at that level, it takes you a long time. So to make all that challenge mode and even longer, I feel like that's kind of insane. So that's kind of why I think they're going to make it short and not just the whole copy pasted but challenge mode. So maybe when we go into Mount Olympus here, we're actually going to fight the gladiator and maybe, you know, some of his henchmen or some random people, right? And we'll get to polymorph as, you know, Zeus or something. But then the next challenge mode we'll have is going to be obviously Poseidon down here. And in this one, we'll fight the squid and some other people, obviously with challenge mode stuff. And for Hades, obviously we'll probably fight Cronus, right? And, you know, have him be challenge mode and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably the best theory I have on all this stuff. And some people are theorizing that you're going to obviously get a new piece of gear for doing all the challenge modes, kind of similar to, you know, the Storm Titan one we got, I think, in the spring update, which looked pretty cool, by the way. So if you do all of the challenge modes in Aquila, you'll get a whole new gear set, which I assume you'll craft over here at this guy as well. Either way, though, that's the best theory I got, y'all. I am pretty excited for this update. I'm really hoping, like I said, they just don't copy paste the entire thing, because these dungeons at their respected level, which is what you will be getting scaled down to, by the way, you just can't have a max level carry you in challenge mode. So I'm hoping they don't just copy paste it, because it takes a long time to do these dungeons on standard at their own respected levels, and challenge mode just would make that way longer, you know? So I don't know, we'll have to see, but I feel like based off the teaser, we probably are gonna have something to do related to those little side bosses we have in each area. Alright, so the next teaser we have is going to be the one that came out yesterday. Now, if you have a keen eye, you probably noticed that is my life wizard right there, smack dab in the middle, right beside Valerie as well. That was pretty nice. That was pretty nice. You know, originally I actually wasn't supposed to be there because I think that was all like extra credits people or whatever. Which, by the way, is cool that they're doing stuff like this. I hope that the program actually takes me back in. I did reapply for it because, in case you guys don't know, I got kicked out of extra credits for, quote, lack of content when I was uploading twice a day last year under the Spark administration, which was pretty interesting. Anyways, but yeah, no, I did reapply, and I seem to be pretty cool with Emma so far, so hopefully we will get back in there. But anyways, yeah, so this is all the extra credits people, and obviously I wasn't, invited to this, but I did notice on my friends list that, all my friends, like, Locke and Valerie and, like Daniel Sunsword, they're just all in heap. I was like, what the hell are they doing there? Is it like Beast Moon or something? So I ported there, and they were just doing this stuff. I was like, okay. And I guess they didn't have an extra person to fill the life wizard slot in this because they wanted to have like each of one school. And I was like, oh, bet I'll just hop on my life wizard, and that's where this picture came from. But yeah, this caption, I believe it says something like, oh, and then there were 8. So there's a couple things the community is theorizing on this. We're either gonna get an 8th school, or this is gonna be related to the raid. Now, personally, I think this is related to the raid. And the reason I say this is based on community feedback since the original raid. Myself and many other people are saying, hey, 12 players is way too much. Even in more hardcore games, like, let's say Destiny, for example, a raid in that game is only 8 players, and Wiz, which is a casual game, is 12 players. I think this might be a way of them listening to community feedback and designing raids around having 8 players. And I think this is a huge win for the community, in my opinion, for a lot of reasons. 1, 12 people is just a lot. You need 12 different adults to get on at the same time, have the next 3 hours available to them, right? And obviously, each one of them have to fill in a role. So this lowers the barrier to entry overall for both casuals and hardcore players. But not only that, this also addresses the original complaint that raiders had. And that goes all the way back to the Dragonspire raid, where it's like, oh, well, there's only like a couple people who get to do fights, and I'm sitting around doing drums or looking for tokens and just, sitting on my ass doing nothing. Or looking at the players raid as well. There's literally a role called like the TikTok role, I think, in the rolling raptors. Oh my god, roaring raptors, which was pretty funny. But you just sit there for like 20 minutes and like wait until the cannon started. It was pretty funny. The Aztec raid, which obviously is the most difficult piece of content in the game to this day, and probably will never be topped in terms of difficulty, by the way. But in that one, some people just fish and look for tokens, which, I mean, I thought that was a little bit better. He had an extra step to do, but either way, my point is here that like TikTok rule or whatever, that free rule isn't going to be as much of a thing anymore. And why is that, you're asking? Well, in competitive formats, whether it's, PvP or PvE, if you shrink the player size, that means each player is going to have to do more on the team, right? So let's say we put 8 players into, the Aztec raid or the Dragonspire raid, right? I doubt they'll do this, by the way, but just in theory. Those 8 players are all going to have to put in a lot of work if you want to win, because there isn't just 4 people that you can sideline to do the bare minimum now. When there are less players on the ground, that simply means those players have to be better and do more. There's no room for, having a weakest link or whatever. And for the 8th school argument, y'all, I just don't think this is happening. I hate to break it to y'all, but just simply look at their Shambo graph, right? How are they going to fit an 8th school in here without breaking the whole game, and what purpose would it have? It just doesn't make any sense. Personally, I would love to have an 8th school in the game as someone who has 7 maxes pretty much every year, with all endgame content pieces of gear. I would love an extra character to grind on, extra reason to play through the game, but it just doesn't make sense for them to do with the current way they are taking the game right now. And Wiz also is a nostalgia game, so adding a whole new school to it, yeah, it might be cool for, a lot of players, but for a lot of other players, that might ruin the nostalgia because it's not the same game that they remember. Anyways, y'all, that's everything I got for the video today. Hope you enjoyed it. What's your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments below? Please let me know. And if you made it this far, leave a like and sub. If not, that's okay. I appreciate you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care, and goodbye.